So it seems like recently Offkai has created a big conversation surrounding a lot of VTubers, including certain types of VTubers, which of course has been a very big discussion over on Twitter and places like that. Now, recently they announced a couple of sponsors and a couple of kind of collaborations and stuff like that, which people have been very concerned about, including ones like Fansly, like this one, where they say they're going to be in the exhibitor hall, and many are asking, well, is this going to affect the people that have been attending? Because if you didn't know, Offkai allows, people even to the ages of 13 to attend. And I'm pretty sure it's 13, they could attend on their own as well, which I think is pretty crazy. But of course, yeah, like, are they going to be running around into the Fansly booth and, seeing a lot of the stuff that's going on there? And the same goes for other groups like this, like VBimbo, who, of course, are they going to be, talking to people who maybe, they shouldn't be. Now, obviously, I'm not saying that they're going to do it personally, but you get what I mean, right? There's going to be kids running around the place saying this kind of stuff, and people don't want that to happen, right? And, I don't think Offkai's done a very good job at explaining exactly how these are going to be ordered or sorted, right? Because many have been bringing up the argument of a curtain with maybe, kind of security, where you're checking like IDs and things before you enter, which of course would be okay. But the thing is, there's been no communication from what I've seen from Offkai, kind of communicating that will be the fact, right? So again, people were worried because currently it just seems that they're going to have booths at the event, and there's going to be kids there unattended by adults who are going to be able to have access to this, which of course is not good whatsoever. But of course, a lot of it has also caused a lot of hate towards VTubers like, these guys, as well as other ones, which I just don't think, I don't think it's necessary, right? I think that, obviously these guys, they do whatever they do, and I think that's okay, right? I think they're allowed to do that. But I think it's more so what many people have an issue with is the people attending the event and seeing this kind of stuff, right? Like kids seeing this kind of stuff. But like if they're doing it in an 18 plus like kind of environment, of course, that's fine. And obviously if they're doing it on their own channels and things in their own time, that's also fine, right? I don't care about that. That's totally cool, right? But I think it's more so them attending an event with kids. People are not too happy, right? And there's been a lot of discussions, people, going after them for kind of being like lewd-tubers and things like that. And obviously some of them responded saying the intense hate on me and my girls attending the convention really show me how misogynistic the internet truly is. Just because we do adult work doesn't mean that's all we do. We're multifaceted, do better. And obviously, people say Offkai supports prostitute groups and things like that, right? That's what some people have been saying. Then what happened to VTubing? This is just sad. So again, a lot of people not liking the kind of NSFW tuber kind of thing, right? And there's been a lot of people that have been responding to this, including Lucia Krabs, who puts out a post, because there's been many like kind of offshoot posts coming from this. And this is one of the big ones that kind of blew up recently, saying, why do people demonize sex so much? Like majority of people have sexual feelings. I bet 90% of the people hating on YouTubers/fancy sponsorships engage in some level of sexual behavior, probably mostly solo sexual behavior. So obviously, they're saying like essentially they're a bunch of loners, right? But I do think, the people hating on YouTubers just for being YouTubers, I don't understand it, right? I think that they can do what they want. I think they have their own free will, and I think that, of course, they're allowed to do that, right? And again, I think it's fine, right? But I do think, whenever it comes to, people going on against the Fansly sponsorships and things like that, I think that is 100% a concern that people can have, right? Because this is a place that will have kids attending, right? And of course, as some people have been arguing, oh, there's not going to be many kids there. Well, of course, there's still going to be some, though. And I think it's better to protect some kids no matter the number of them, right? I think it's kind of weird just to be like, oh, well, there's only 10, so it doesn't really matter. They could all be exposed to it, I guess, right? I don't know why some people, think that. But of course, I think that, obviously being concerned about how the, convention is set up and laid out, and these people are attending this event with kids at the event is totally fine. Now, of course, I think, Lucia is more kind of, diving into the hate that the women have been getting from this. But I do think at the same time, it is very valid that people want to know how kids are going to be protected at these events if they're allowed that, right? Because if this was an 18 plus event, we wouldn't even be talking about this because it doesn't really matter, right? But of course it isn't. And still these sponsors and people are attending, right? which people are pretty worried about. I think some people are just mad that women make money off their bodies. Men can make money off their bodies too, by the way, or many other attractive, or from any other attractive quality thing. I wish more would, because male ASMR is so nice, lol. Which obviously, yeah, I mean, that isn't necessarily a sexual quality, but I guess you call it attractive, maybe. But again, anyways, essentially, yeah, I think it's one of those things where, I don't know, this tweet, it isn't exactly the best worded, because I feel like, you know, maybe there should be some kind of denouncing of, you know, the convention mixing kids and this kind of stuff. But at the same time, I can understand where they're coming from in terms of the hate that's been going towards some of the VTubers, right? And of course, people have been putting down here saying, so how many children are you all right with being exposed to this? Which is a good question, right? I think that that's 100% the question that people were asking. And Banana Juju saying, you don't tell kids about it, which obviously, yeah, I do think is true too, right? They say NSFW content should have its spaces, but IDs get checked at the door. The whole Offkai thing, for example, is giving NSFW content creators a terrible name right now and making us all look like we don't care about safety, which the majority of us obviously do. And I think that's true, right? I think a lot of these people, including, you know, this group here, whatever, I'm sure they do care about this kind of stuff that's going on. But what the problem is Offkai haven't really set out, you know, a very clear boundary, I guess, in terms of what is going to stop people from being able to see them if they're not the right age, right? And is it going to be like, how is this going to be? Is it going to be in a separate hall where, you know, people can you know, obviously get stopped at the door, ask for ID before they can go in? Is it going to be like a curtain, right? Literally anything. Is there going to be anything blocking them, or are they going to be in the main hall, you know, with every other booth there that isn't, you know, NSFW, which obviously is the concern that people are having, right? And obviously with the fancy sponsor, they say they're going to be in the exhibitor hall, which obviously is one of the main halls that they feature on the website, right? So that's what's concerning people, because they've said that they're going to be in one of the big halls. So it doesn't seem like it's going to be in a separate hall. But still, you know, some people also talking about the fact that apparently they do like late night ones as well, like little like late night events. Which obviously are more for like adults and things like that, which I think that's also like a great idea, right? Maybe bring those sponsors in then, right? Whenever there's a late night thing going on, and then you just have to check everybody's IDs before they enter the late night event for Offkai, right? But again, I don't know the kind of practicality of that, or like what exactly they're doing with that. But yeah, people saying, why is it such a hard ask just to keep that stuff away from kids? Adults, that's fine, but in a venue of kids, no. Which, yeah, obviously it's true, right? 100% true. If this was an 18+ event, I think it would be fine. Totally okay for them to have any of these sponsors and any of these people attending. But the fact is, it's not, right? It's not an 18+ event, which, of course, is why people are so concerned. Then don't expose your degeneracy to kids, maybe. Saying it's crazy because sex work literally existed since the dawn of mankind. Basically, like, I don't know, it's completely normal, which is true. But again, we're talking about the fact that there's going to be kids attending this event, right? I think that's something that people maybe don't get. They say, personally, I don't like it when women make that all that they are, or their entire personality. It just makes me feel like we get seen as just that more because of it. And or maybe more for me personally, that I've been in collabs where I could only talk about sexual stuff and I felt super uncomfortable, which I think is also fair enough, right? But again, there's been a lot of people commenting on this. I just think it's just one of these things where essentially I think it's okay for any of these people, or any of these women, or any of these you know, sponsors to be doing the stuff that they're doing, right? I don't have a problem with that. What I do have a problem with is obviously them attending an event which obviously hasn't been you know, clearly outlined as to how they're going to protect kids from being exposed to this kind of stuff, right? And of course, as I said, I don't think any of these people do want anything bad to happen in that kind of sense, right? It's just more so on Offkai to tell us, hey, you know, this is how it's going to be laid out. There is going to be a curtain, or there is going to be a separate space for this, and I think everything will be fine. But currently, we don't know. Currently, I can't find anything that tells me information on you know, how it's going to be laid out, how the venue is going to be laid out. And of course, that is what's concerning people, because again, you know, there's been a couple of different things, for example, like the exhibitor hall stuff, which has people worried. But yeah, I mean, that is essentially it. If you guys did enjoy this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also, go to GameSubs, use my code Kazza, get 10% off. Again, they've got a ton of really cool stuff over there. Definitely recommend checking it out. And yeah, see you guys in the next one. That's all. So yeah,